After selling the car of my dreams, I took a risky step and spent all my money on an abandoned plot of land far away from civilization. Over the next year, we'll bring this farm back to life, buy new equipment, start production, and face nature's challenges. But the main goal is to make the farm livable and profitable. If that sounds interesting to you, leave a like and let's get started. To begin restoring the farm, I first need to get there. This is the vehicle I kept for myself, and here it is, my farm. Doesn't look much like a farm. Whew, I was starting to think I bought a forest of bushes and trees. It looks nice, but everything is overgrown with grass and shrubs. Clearly, no one has lived here for a long time. Wow, I see the first piece of equipment, but let's start with the house. It looks cool and atmospheric. There are all kinds of interesting things inside. Behind the house, there are some more buildings. I think this one was used to store bales of hay or grass. There's also a hangar, probably for machinery, but it's locked. I'll need to find the keys. And here's something interesting. Maybe a cultivator for the field. Awesome. This wheelbarrow, though, not in the best condition. That's probably for silage. Wow, everything is so overgrown here. We need to start cleaning this place up as soon as possible. Wow, looks like animals used to live here. This looks like a chicken coop. And there's an old trailer here. I wonder if it's still usable or completely rusted out. This part seems to be for sheep. Most likely a storage shed. Whoa, there's even a second floor. This was definitely used to store hay for the sheep. Now I understand why the trailer is parked here. It was probably used to lift hay up here. There's even a hatch to drop hay down to the sheep. That's genius. Our ancestors really knew what they were doing. There's even a fenced pasture to keep the sheep safe. And this tree likely provides them with shade so they don't overheat. Maybe I'll want to raise animals too. The fact that the infrastructure is already here is amazing. And this must be a field that belongs to the farm too. Why do I think so? I think you can tell. The crops have been ruined for a long time. This sunflower field could have made so much oil, but unfortunately the previous owner got sick and couldn't take care of the farm anymore. That's why everything's been abandoned. Leave a like if you feel sorry for the farmer. Let's go back to the barns. These ones aren't locked. I opened them and there's nothing inside except some rusty pipes, a small cart, and a few tools. Oh, I was hoping for something better, but this could be a good storage spot for smaller equipment and tools. Whoa, that's a jack. This must have been a workshop. Yeah, look over there on the table. Wait, is that a tractor? A real tractor? Yes, it's a Porsche tractor. I wonder if it still works. Look how clean and shiny it is. I'm so lucky. The key is even in the ignition. Let's give it a try. Nothing. Well, what did I expect from an old tractor? Battery must be dead. Oh wait, not dead. The cable was just disconnected. Let's see. Wow, it works. That's incredible. It even drives. And the headlights work too. I'm speechless. It drives really well. That's awesome. Now I need to get a mower somehow. Since I already have a tractor, tidying things up here should be easy. Oh, I've got an idea. I'll ask in the local community chat. Here we go. A guy named David responded. He's willing to lend me a mower under one condition. First, I have to mow the grass on his field. Then I'll be able to use the mower for a while. That works for me. So I hop in the tractor and rush to him. Well, rush as much as this thing can go. Driving a tractor without license plates is pretty risky. His house should be around here somewhere. There it is. And there's the mower. I hook it up and head to his field. There are just a few small issues. Here's the field. Thankfully, it's not too big, so I get to work. It took me 2 hours to finish. I actually enjoyed working on a tractor. Never done that before. Now I can head home and start cleaning up my own land. But since it's already evening, I decided to get some sleep. All right, time to begin. I hop in the tractor and start mowing grass, bushes, and anything else I see. The bushes were harder to cut, but overall the tractor handled it even though it's not very powerful. During a short break, I found a set of keys. Maybe one of them fits the big shed? The first one didn't work. The second didn't either. But the third one, it worked. And I can't believe my eyes. It's a Mercedes truck. Old, worn out, but it's a truck. I can't believe how lucky I am. Let's try to start it. First, I checked all the fluids. Yes, it starts. Started up really easily too, but now it doesn't move. Wait. Now it moves. Must have been rusty brakes. I still can't believe this. I have a truck now. That's amazing. A few hours later, I had cut a huge amount. Now I need to transport it. And that's exactly what the old Mercedes is perfect for. Along with a shovel, of course. I start loading the grass, but I can't reach far enough. Wait, I've got an idea. I throw it into the truck bed and repeat about 100 more times. And that's just the front yard. The truck is already full. Can you imagine how much grass there was? Now I need to figure out where to take it. That's when my friend David gave me a tip. There's an animal farm nearby that buys grass, hay, and straw. So I hop in the truck and head there. Here it is. I unload everything. And for this load of grass, I got $1,800. I didn't expect that much at all. That's pretty awesome for grass I didn't even need. So I delivered all the grass I had. In total, I made $5,500. That was a nice surprise. And check out how clean the yard looks now. So that wraps up the first stage of the farm restoration. Now it's time for the next step, the field. Right now is planting season for barley, so I need to plant fast. I actually wanted to plant canola, but I missed the window. So let's get started. First, I need to remove all the rotten crops and prep the soil. I can use the cultivator for that, the one I found earlier. Oops, I'll return the mower a little later. So I hook up the cultivator and head to the field. But I ran into an unpleasant surprise. My tractor is too weak for this cultivator. That sucks. I guess I'll have to sell it and buy a different one. So I sell it. And I bought this new, well, old tractor. It looks weird, but it's supposed to be more powerful. It cost me $8,000, cheap because it's already 55 years old. Here's how it works. It grinds up the old sunflower plants and mixes them into the soil. Two hours later, the field is ready for seeding. But now, I need something to actually plant the barley. I need a seeder. I found this one for just $300. But why am I in a small town, and why is the seeder here? Simple, it's a local company. I made a deal to rent the seeder just to plant my field. Because as you can probably tell, I can't afford to buy my own just yet. I also bought the seeds. I attach the seeder, load up the seeds, and now, it's time to plant the field. Three hours later, it's done. Unfortunately, I don't have money to treat the field, so I'll just have to hope not too many weeds grow. Oops, I almost forgot to return the seeder. Done. Now I can finally rest. But now, I need to figure out how to make some money. And I came up with an idea. Why not help other people out for cash? I mean, helping them with their fields, mowing grass, and that kind of stuff. And they'll pay me for it. So I decided to start with cultivating and mowing. I already have a cultivator, But I still need a mower. I checked the local classifieds and found one for sale. Just $1,500. Perfect. Exactly what I need. So I hopped in the tractor and headed out to pick it up. But then something happened. I got pulled over by the police for not having a license plate. It was an unmarked Interceptor, so I didn't even notice it at first. Luckily, I had all the paperwork for the tractor. And apparently, in this town, a lot of people drive like that. The officer was actually pretty cool and just advised me not to drive on public roads anymore. Still, I got a fine, but lesson learned. So I grabbed the mower and took the back roads home. Once I got back, I needed to find someone who needed help. And here it is, a job to cultivate this field. They're offering $2,000 for it. Perfect. So I went straight there and got to work. One and a half hours later, the field is done, and now I've got $2,000 in my pocket. Nice! Let's do one more job. I found another cultivating job. Check out this field. This time, they're paying $4,000. Why more? Because of this big hill here. But the actual area of the field is about the same. Definitely earning that higher pay, the tractor is really struggling going uphill. But the job is done just before nightfall, and that's another $4,000 in the pocket. Now I want to invest the money in animals, specifically goats. They should be pretty profitable. Here's how much they cost. I'm buying the young ones because I don't have enough money for adults and I'd rather wait for them to grow. So I bought them. Look how small they are. The great thing is, they eat grass, so now I need to cut some grass for them. Luckily, there's a little meadow behind the buildings. Perfect for this. I hop in the tractor, hook up the mower, and get to work. I'll also clear out these bushes while I'm at it. It took me about 2 hours. Now comes the hard part, collecting all that grass. And I've got an idea for how to store it properly. First, I need to load it all into the truck. No, I won't be storing it in the truck. We're taking it somewhere special. Here we are. This place has equipment that turns loose grass into bales, so I unload the grass here. And in return, I get these beautiful bales. And it only cost me $60 for the whole process. Now I load the bales back into the truck and take them to the farm. And of course, I unload them into the barn. There's even a convenient drop-off point just for that. Now the goats have food. Perfect. Meanwhile, I looked over at the field. Yeah, a lot of weeds. But what can I do? I've got no money right now. It is what it is. And then I got an offer to do hoeing work on a field. Why am I making a big deal out of it? First, they're giving me this amazing machine to use. Second, they'll pay me $35,000 for the job. You're probably thinking, no way, that's a scam. Who pays that much for hoeing? Well, here's why. Just look at the size of this field. And just to give you a sense of scale, here's the tractor compared to the entire field. All right, let's get to it. And here's how much ground one single lap covers. So yeah, I think the price was totally fair. I worked until nightfall, and finally, the job was done. The next day, I returned the tractor, and here's my payment. That's already a really solid amount of money for my little farm. Awesome! I wish there were more contracts like this, although maybe it's better to do a lot of smaller ones instead of one giant task. It's way easier. Anyway, I've got some cash now, so it's time to upgrade my equipment. First, I sold the gear I definitely don't need anymore. That includes my old tractor and this worn-out trailer. I sold both to a guy for $9,000. Hope they serve him well. And I bought myself a new tractor. Well, not new. It's still old, but for me, it's new. And it's a serious upgrade compared to what I had before. It cost me $36,000. That's most of my budget, but definitely worth it. It even has license plates. So now I can drive on public roads without worrying. And then something happened. There it is, a tornado. Let's hope it doesn't hit my field. Phew, I got lucky. But man, it was scary watching it come so close. Now it's time to start making back the money I spent on the tractor. So I went back to the usual, helping people out for cash. $3,000 for cultivating. $2,000 for mowing grass. Another mowing job, this time for $5,000. And one more cultivating job for $7,000. That brings my total balance up to $27,000. Nice. And during all that time, my field finally got ready for harvest. Time to bring in the crops. But I need a combine harvester for that, so I rented one from the same folks I rented the seeder from earlier. The rental cost me $10,000. It's pretty modern, so I expect it to be a smooth experience. I drove to the field and got started. Now I just had to figure out how to actually operate the thing. Thankfully, not too complicated. Soon, the harvester was full. Time to unload. Of course, I used my truck for that. Once the truck was full, I didn't wait. I drove straight to sell the crops, since I don't have any storage space yet. I took them to the grain mill. And for one full truck of harvest, I was paid $15,000. That's a pretty sweet deal, already covered the rental costs. And just 2 hours later, with the help of this modern combine harvester, the entire field was harvested and sold. From this harvest alone, I made $61,000. Amazing. Although, it did take a lot of effort to get the field to that point. After subtracting the $10,000 rental and the cost of seeds, the net profit was about $55,000. And of course, I didn't even count my labor in the cost. Now it was time to return the combine harvester. And since it was already evening, I went to bed. The next morning, I checked in on the goats. They've grown up quite a bit. Soon, they'll start producing milk. Now it's time to launch my first business. Of course, farming and raising animals is already a business, technically, but I want something that brings in almost passive income. And as you may have guessed, I'm talking about greenhouses. There's a perfect spot for them right here on the property. These are the greenhouses I got, and they cost me $18,000. I also installed a water well so I can keep the plants hydrated. I'll be growing tomatoes, garlic, and lettuce, solid products with steady demand. Now all that's left is to water the crops from time to time and wait for the first harvest. Also, I decided to buy a car to deliver these kinds of goods more easily. Here it is. It cost me almost $25,000. This thing is going to be a great help, so let's use it for its intended purpose. Yes, you didn't notice, but time has passed and the first batch of products is ready. That's one pallet of each vegetable I grow. So let's go sell them. I'm loading the pallets and heading out to sell. I'll be selling them to the local supermarket. And for these products, I received $5,000. Not bad. After that, I bought myself some food for $3,000 and returned to the farm in a good mood. Tidying things up a bit. Well then, 365 days have passed. Let's wrap things up. I restored an abandoned farm, bought new equipment, got livestock, and launched my own production line. So I believe the main goal has been achieved. The abandoned farm is now livable and brings in a stable income, which can only grow with each passing month. So if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This was Fizbee. See you next time.